fans, are we looking for a podcast 100% dedicated to your Buffalo Bills? Then you're at the right place. Bills Central Podcast, brought to you by ProFootballCentral.com. And now your host, Chris Brown.
And we are live on Bills Central Podcast on Pro Football Central. This is your host, Chris Brown, and I am going to be joined today by the co-founder of BillsMafia, Reid. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Rookie Minicamp that's starting today, as well as the BillsMafia movement, what it stands for the fans, and what it is going to be in the near future. How are you doing today, Del?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on the show.
Hey, I'm glad to be on it. Thanks for having me.
Sure. First thing, let's talk about Rookie Minicamp. It's starting up today. Rookies were tweeting out yesterday that they were arriving in Buffalo, getting fitted for all their, getting their lockers, getting their practice equipment. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Rookie Minicamp that starts today?
Hope springs eternal, right?
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
say every year. We have a good reason for hope this year, though. When you look at the rookie class and the caliber of guys that have been brought in, even in the undrafted free agent crop that they're able to bring in, which I think is light years ahead of even last year's, who they're able to bring in, it's really exciting. And couple that with the official Bills account yesterday, tweeting out pictures of the players coming in and getting fitted for their helmets, and they're getting their headshots taken and everything. It was cool. It's exciting.
Now, what type of pictures did they provide you with? Did they do basically in locker room, or did they do outside shots? Or
yeah, the official account was tweeting out pics of players, mostly with the equipment staff. It showed E.J. Manuel trying on a helmet. They had Keith Pugh, I think it's pronounced Pugh. Keith Pugh trying on his cleats and everything. They showed also Kiko Alonso in front of a bunch of cameras and lighting equipment, getting what they described as a video headshot done.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned E.J. Manuel. What are your thoughts on E.J. and the Bills taking him in the first round and possibly being the face of the franchise?
I'm pumped. I was watching the draft with a bunch of buddies, and I intentionally, for the past few months, just because I didn't want to get into it with over and over again with people on Twitter, I wanted E.J. Manuel as the Bills quarterback. And it wasn't until I think the night before the draft where I actually said, okay, this is what I'm hoping for. I hope they're able to trade down a few spots and pick up E.J. Manuel as the quarterback. And when Goodell announced the pick on stage at Radio City Music Hall, I wasn't there. I was, in Kenmore, with some friends watching the draft. When he announced that pick, I jumped out of my chair. I was so excited. I was like, yeah! So I'm excited because of the upside, the ceiling that the kid has. I mean, I know that he's raw and that he has things he has to work on. But when you look at the other quarterbacks that were available in the draft, he had the most, for want of a better term, he was the sexy pick, and that's not meant in a negative way. Just you look at what he's able to bring to the table with just his mobility, his arm strength, things like that. Ever since the Senior Bowl, I've been in love with this guy.
Now, coming out of Florida State, kind of worked in a pro-style offense a little bit. Didn't have situations where he had to go through his progressions as much. Some have knocked him for that a little bit. But I feel, coming out of Florida State, playing in the bigger football conference, he has the experience. He won 4 bowl games. I can't really say that about much of the college quarterbacks that come out because of that. So he's a proven winner, and that's something that Buffalo needs, is somebody who can come in, start from day one possibly, and win some ball games up in Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about his progressions and everything. I mean, he's acutely aware of that. I remember somebody reading a couple of different pundits on Twitter leading up to the Senior Bowl. That was something that he hadn't had to do at Florida State just because of the design of the offense. So nobody really knew, could he do that? Is he able to handle, that kind of responsibility as a a field general for a team. And then following the Senior Bowl, because he won the MVP, they did an interview with him on the field, and he must have mentioned it like 3 times in the span of like 6 or 7 sentences. Just I worked through my progressions, this and that. So I think that's really cool. So he's obviously aware. I mean, obviously, but it's something that can be developed in him. It seems like he seems like a really bright kid. So we'll see.
Now, do you expect him to come into rookie minicamp and show some leadership right off the bat?
Well, that's one of the qualities that he's known for is his leadership ability. So over the next few days in rookie minicamp, yeah, I would assume so.
Now, they also bring in undrafted free agent Jeff Toole out of Washington State. Buddy Nix went on record mentioning how he thought that Toole would actually get drafted in the later rounds and was actually surprised that he didn't get drafted. And it was kind of nice. He mentioned how they almost fell into his lap a little bit being undrafted and having them go after them. What do you know about Jeff? Do you know about his college game or any of his potential?
Well, I don't know a ton, just to be honest with you. I did read up on him a little bit when I saw that the Bills brought him in for a visit in, I think it was early April. I know that he's had some injury issues in the past, and that the Cougars didn't win a ton of games under him. But that doesn't mean anything. I get frustrated sometimes when quarterbacks get all the blame or all the glory for a team's 1-loss record, because there's 21 other starters that are also responsible. But it makes sense. But I don't know a ton about Tua except that Buddy Nix likes him.
Now there's 33 guys coming in to rookies minicamp starting today. Who are some of the names that stick out in your mind that you want to see excel and possibly make the team?
Make the team. So I'm going to assume that most of the draft picks have a good shot at making the team. So although that's not always the case. Even last year, I think there were 2 or 3 picks, at least 2 that didn't make the team. Tank Carter and the lineman, I forget his last name now. It escapes me. But I'm going to assume,
Mark Asper.
That's what it was. Yeah, Asper. Yeah, he ended up right in Minnesota like 2 days later, if I remember right. I don't know if he's stuck there or not. But in terms of who I want to see excel, I mean, I think that like the entire city of Buffalo is excited about Rick Rodgers. I mean, that's kind of like a easy answer for you. Because the kid had first round grades on him, and because of off the field issues, he ended up going undrafted. So there's a good shot that, not to hype it up too much, but he could be this year's Perfect, who went undrafted by the NFL last year, signed with the Bengals, and ended up leading the team in tackles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Rodgers, to go on your note there, he had some off-field issues, ended up getting booted out of Tennessee, landed with Tennessee Tech. But maybe played down a little bit to his competition of a little lower level of college football. But at the same time, the man's got, great potential playmaking ability on the field, and I think a lot of fans are excited that the Bills actually were able to grab him once the draft was over.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And you look at some of the guys they brought in this year in the draft with Duke Smith, Kiko Alonso, Rick Rodgers, guys who aren't, necessarily choir boys, at least they haven't been in the past. Now you look at the previous 3 years under Nix with Gailey as the coach, and that hasn't been the case. They've avoided guys with character issues just completely. So I think it says a lot to Nix's, or the front office's, faith in the new coaching staff, that they've got a new guy in place that they probably feel confident is able to actually handle some of these, quote-unquote troubled kids.
And Coach Malone is definitely somebody who can handle that. He's made it pretty prevalent to all the players that you're held accountable for your actions. And bringing in some of those troublemakers that have had off-the-field issues, such as Kiko Alonso, Rick Rodgers, But those are in the past. Today's a new day, and they're starting, rookie camp today. So I'm sure they're excited, and with veteran leadership, they could be steered in the right direction. And having Coach Marone in there, somebody who can set the tone for those rookies. This is where you want to be. You got to work hard. You got to earn your spot on the roster. And I think that's something that is maybe somewhat new in the phase of the Bills fans, because Gailey at times maybe was a little complacent and didn't put out that tough skin as Marone has kind of put out to all his players.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the only time I remember Gailey ever making a stand, and I don't mean to slam the guy. He's by all accounts a great person.
He's a player's coach.
Yeah. The only time he took a stand was when he sat Stevie Johnson for the second half of that final game of the season in 2011, which maybe wasn't the perfect opportunity to take a stand because they were up by 3 touchdowns or something, and New England started getting back in the game, and arguably your best player on the offense at that time was riding the pine. Oh,
yeah. And late in the season, I think it's a little harder to make a statement as a coach, especially if you're going toward the losing season. There's no chance of the postseason. Trying to step in and put your foot down, the last week or two of the season isn't going to be held as credible as, you're starting right now with a new regime. And Marone's putting his foot down right away, setting the tone right away. I think it says a lot for the new coaching staff.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Now, getting back to the rookies, some of the rookies that are coming in, the undrafted, you have Drew Smith. He's a running back coming out of Albany. Played multiple positions in college. You also have Rogers, we had mentioned. One guy that we haven't touched on just yet is Robert Woods. What are your thoughts on Robert Woods out of USC?
Man, that is exciting. Nick says that he had him rated higher than Justin Hunter, who went a few picks before him, who was a wide receiver out of Tennessee. Whether that's true or not, we'll never know. But Woods was considered by many, or is considered by many, to be the most pro-ready wide receiver coming out of college this year. One of the things, especially if you follow fantasy football, you learn that it's normally not until the third season where receivers actually start making noise in the NFL. I mean, that's not a tried and true rule, but it's a tendency that you notice. So to have a wide receiver who's pro-ready is nice when you figure that you've drafted 3 wide receivers, and a lot of times it takes a while for them to actually adjust to the pro game. It's nice to have one that maybe has a little bit a step ahead just because of the offense that he played in USC.
Now, I could definitely see him coming in day one, starting opposite of Stevie on the outside. Robert has the sure hands that you want in a receiver. He has good speed. That's been, well known. Playing with Matt Barkley, I think that helps a little bit. His stats were a little down compared to his junior year when he was there. But nonetheless, I think, Buddy Nix hit it right on the nail on the head pretty much and brought in Robert Woods. And, I think he's going to start day one. Now, going back to the rookie camp that starts there and leads into the weekend, what is something that you're looking to stand out? What do you think is going to stand out this weekend? Who do you think is going to stand out? Who do you think might open the eyes of some of the fans, any of the players who may not have a well-known name just yet?
It's hard to tell because, it's not like a full contact drill that normally happens, but I'm excited to see how the new players like Duke Smith, Kiko Alonso, Keith Pugh, some of these guys who are going to be responsible for stopping the run game in the future someday. I'm excited to see how they perform. I mean, maybe rookie camp's not the best time to see that, but it would be interesting to have them see them make a few stops here and there, or to showcase a little speed, maybe in terms of either that whole middle of the field, either with the run game stoppage or even tight end coverage.
Okay. Now, I see a lot of these rookies tweeting out hashtag BillsMafia on their Twitter accounts a lot. See a lot of them posting pictures with what looks like a wristband with the hashtag BillsMafia. Being a co-founder of BillsMafia, for those who don't know what it is, can you go into detail a little bit about what it is and how it was started and where it's going to go in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. For those that don't know, it began as an inside joke in the off season between 2010 and 2011 between myself, Breon Harris, Bree_88, and Leslie N94, whose real name is Leslie Willie, and a few other people like Ryan Ellington and Ryan Norton. There's 4 or 5 of us that were always joking around about it. But what it was we teased Adam Schefter for his retweet of Stevie Johnson's famous God tweet, which was he retweeted it like 24 hours later, which in Twitter time is like a month. So we started making fun of him. Breon actually came up with the hashtag of Schefter breaking news, and a bunch of people caught on to it and started tweeting out old news events from, first initially like a year or 2 prior, then decades, and then I think it turned into like Man Discovers Fire or something like that with hashtag Schefter breaking news. A lot of us were actually mentioning Adam in the tweets, so he was, they were crossing his timeline. So what he ended up doing was blocking all of us. It was the first time I'd ever been blocked by somebody on Twitter, so for me it was kind of like, I haven't been blocked by too many folks to begin with at all over time, but like for me I was like, oh my gosh, what has happened? But you learn to embrace it. So a few months later on a Friday, the whole Follow Friday tradition on Twitter, I mentioned a bunch of us and called us the BillsMafia, and everybody was laughing at it and stuff because I figured we were outlaws or we were bad guys in Schefter's eyes, just trying to be a little sarcastic about it.
Right.
Then that caught on, for a little while, and it died down. And then when we signed Nick Barnett in August of 2011, his alter ego, Mufasa's hair, saw it and said that was cool. And once that happened and Barnett retweeted him, it blew up. So we had a unique opportunity. There's probably only a few days we had to work with where we were able to actually say, okay, it's at enough of a beginning point here, and we took ownership of it, and we've been rolling with it ever since. That's kind of like the beginning of it. What we've done now is we decided early on, because people were buying actually lots of T-shirts. We started selling T-shirts and everything, just because we figured that's what we should do, right? And we started selling a lot to the point where I don't want to say maybe nervous, but I felt like almost accountable now at this point. So people are asking, like, well, is this whole BillsMafia thing just about selling T-shirts? And I've been a Bills fan since probably pre-birth. I was raised red, white, and blue and everything. And last thing I was interested in doing was, for want of a better term, whoring out my fanhood. So
right.
we saw a unique opportunity here to, actually do something good. And what we did was we took the profits that we were making from the shirts and we started giving it to Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo. And since then, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And as we've made more money and donated more money to Roswell Park, it's always been through my own personal taxes, just because this was something that just kind of happened. So that's not how you really want to do things. So what we decided to do was end it so that we could become more official now that we see that this whole BillsMafia thing doesn't appear to be going anywhere. We actually, this past January, February, March, ran a sponsorship drive and asked people to help us raise money to pay for a lawyer to help us file our paperwork with New York State, with the IRS, to become a nonprofit organization with a 501c3 designation. So we're almost done with that whole process. We are incorporated. We're finishing up the IRS portion now. And for real, we exist. We're recognized by the state of New York. So Buffalo Fan Base Incorporated has a mission statement now of channeling the passion of Buffalo football fans into charitable endeavors in the community.
Now, for those who may have never visited the website, what's the website to check out some of the history behind it. I also understand that there's some blogs that go on there. They can check out the store with T-shirts, wristbands, and all their kind of merchandise.
Yeah, it's BillsMafia.com. The front page basically says, what is Bills Mafia? It explains it. On other pages on the site, we have a blog, who the lead blogger is Rob Quinn, who we are really blessed to have writing for the website. The guy puts in some really top-notch analysis and puts a lot of thought into the stuff that he puts up there. And like I said, we're lucky to have him. We also have a couple other bloggers as well who do great work for us. And then we also have one of which is you, Chris.
Yeah, back in my heyday.
Yep.
It's been a little while, but
it's been a while, but the Mafia. Once you're in, you never leave.
Absolutely.
So, and we also have a store page which has links to buy wristbands or T-shirts or mouse pads, or we've got a couple of things in there.
Okay. Now, with the wristbands that these athletes are tweeting out, are those also available? The same ones that the athletes have?
Yep, the ones we send to the players are the same ones that are available on the website, and the same ones that we do giveaways on through Twitter and Facebook on occasion.
Now, how cool is it to have these players embrace, what was kind of thought up a couple of years ago, as you had mentioned, started small and it kind of got embraced as the years went on. How cool is it that some of these players are rocking some of the Bills Mafia gear and embracing the whole fan base that has, come around in this whole Bills Mafia movement?
It's surreal. That's the way I can put it. The whole thing is surreal. Like when Ron Brooks is tweeting pictures of himself wearing a shirt, that you designed that represents all that you've poured your free time into over the past couple of years. It's cool, man. It's really cool. And for what it is, like, obviously, Twitter existed prior to this whole thing, but what it's done is it's kind of given people, Bills fans on Twitter, kind of like a banner to rally under. I often say it's not about me. It's not about the few of us that run it and everything. It's about everybody. It's about the players. It's about the fans. Like it's we're a big happy family, and it's really cool to see the players actually like get into it and play along with it and everything. It's fun.
Okay. Now I understand you also have what you guys call a tweet up, and that is a general meeting one time of year during a Bills game. Is that right?
Yep. We actually there was prior to 2011, there was a few of us who were actually working to coordinate a tailgate where we could just hang out anyways, with fellow Twitter friends. And then in the midst of all that planning, the Bills Mafia took off, and so we turned that gathering into a tweet-up. We had about 70 people throughout the day who came through. It was really cool. It was probably one of the most fun days I've ever had at a Bills game. And we beat the Eagles that day, which was even better. So then last year we had the same thing. We moved to a different lot that had a little bit more space and everything, and we probably had around, I would say, over 200 people that came in through the day. So it's gotten bigger and bigger, and this year we're doing it again, and we're hoping for even bigger numbers. Not that it's about numbers, but it's cool to see this many people come through and hang out. And we did a Chinese auction with stuff that was donated by local businesses and players. We raised a lot of money for Roswell in the process as well during the tweet up.
Now I can kind of attest to the tweet up a little bit. I attended it last year. Brought my brother along. He's a huge Pats fan. Unfortunately, we lost the game. Although a lot of fans say we should have won, which I agree, but that's for another day. But yeah, I can attest. It was nice to meet some of the people and put a face to those Twitter names that are out there. You interact so much on social media with everybody that it's kind of nice to meet somebody face to face and show your appreciation for what you guys do. And I was fortunate enough I actually won one of the raffles. I won a book.
Nice.
I will say I have yet to read it yet though. Schedule is complex, but it was nice because got to interact with everybody, and it's this year again. I believe it's the Panthers game this year. Is that right?
Yep. Yep, second home game of the season is the Carolina Panthers game, September 15th.
Okay. Now you didn't want to risk it again with the Patriots?
No, just it's a lot that we work with. There's other groups that have been using his lot. It's a very popular lot, Hammer's Lot is what they call it. It's actually where Pinto Ron is, the famous Pinto tailgate, is in that same lot. So, we're still kind of new to the party, so we have to work around at some of the other groups that use his lot for big events. So he's great, though. Like, we were able to announce it within, I think, an hour of the NFL schedule release. So unlike last year where people were constantly tweeting me like, when's the tweet up? When's the tweet up? And I don't know. This year we were able to boom, just right away we knew what day it was.
Now, I believe Pinto has a consecutive game streak going that he's attended. Do you know what that number is?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's more than 300 because I remember one of the games last year was his 300th game.
That's a lot of Bills games and a lot of ups and downs throughout the years. He's definitely seen his good side of the good and the bad.
Yep. That's 300 consecutive home and away games.
That's even more impressive. I did not know that stat. I thought it was just all the home games.
Nope, home and away.
Boy, he loves his Bills, as we all do.
Mm-hmm.
We just, some of us just can't get away to those nice Florida trips, which the Bills have. I believe they have 3 games down there. They play all the Florida teams this year, 2 in consecutive weeks. I believe they had their back-to-back with the Jaguars and the Bucks. I'm not sure about that, but so with the conclusion of the Bills Mafia, where do you see it going in the next 5-10 years and beyond?
Oh man, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how things pan out, but I don't see any sign of it slowing down. I mean, we continue to grow literally day by day. We're getting new followers on our account and people who are interacting with us and just enjoying the whole experience. So I don't know. I would love for it to just become even bigger than it is, which would mean that we have more opportunities to raise more money. Like I said, to do some positive effects in our community. I think it's a big deal, and I like that it's a little bit of our calling card.
Okay. Now, also, you had mentioned that all the proceeds and everything goes to Roswell. Do they have a website where people can log on to donate to there as well?
Yeah, giving.roswellpark.org.
Okay, and then what, for those who may not know what Roswell is, what would their donations be going towards?
Roswell Park is actually the first cancer hospital, nationally recognized cancer hospital in the United States. It is named after Dr. Roswell Park, and they develop new cancer treatments and therapies, and then on the research side of the house, and then are able to take those therapies and treatments, and actually patients can benefit from those. Okay.
Now, going back towards the Bills side of things for a little bit, what's your outlook on the upcoming season? I know a lot of Bills fans, we always have to have optimism is in the forefront. We had a disappointing season last year and have been for, 13 straight seasons, unfortunately, with the playoff drought. What's your optimistic view going into this season?
You know what? Right now, I'm just going to wuss out, and I'm saying 8-8. I'm not committing to either side of the equation. I think it's for me. It's so early to try and predict that stuff in terms of, we don't even know what kind of offense really Marone and Hackett are going to be running. We know it's going to be a fast one. Seeing how the slowest person they drafted, I believe, runs a 4.7 40-yard dash. But
that's a lot of speed.
Yeah, it's a lot of speed. So, but it's still kind of early, especially with Patton. And I could put a plug in here for Rob Quinn on our blog. Rob Quinn's been doing a great analysis of just the defense and what Patton's tendencies are, going back all the way to his Baltimore days when he was working with Ryan there. So, but we still have yet to see it in action at this point. So for me, I'm just going to say 8-8 because I think that they're better than they were last year in a lot of key positions. But there's not enough. Obviously, we haven't seen anything for me to say that it's this is going to be the year that the playoff streak ends.
Do you see 8-8 getting them into the playoffs?
Well, I'm sorry?
Do you see 8-8 getting them into the playoffs?
I mean, it's happened in the past, and 7-9, I think, was the record of the Seahawks a couple of years ago when they made the playoffs, which there should be a law against that. But
and they hosted a home game.
And they hosted a home, which they won.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Against the Saints, who won, I believe, 11 games that year, and had to go on the road.
Yeah, that drove me crazy. But so even though 8-8 normally gets you to the playoffs, I'm not going to say that would pan out in that direction should the Bills end up at that record.
What's up? This is Arthur Moats, number 52 of the Buffalo Bills, and you're listening to Bills Central Podcast on Pro Football Central. Go Bills!
And we are live here on Bills Central Podcast. My name is Chris Brown. Currently, we have co-host Reid on the line. How you doing, Del?
I'm doing fantastic, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We also have another surprise to the fans out there. We have a special appearance by Dorin Dickerson. How are you doing today, Dorin?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, we'll first start off. We'll ask you a bunch of questions to see how everything's going for you in Buffalo. So how does it feel to be back in the locker room with the guys?
It feels good. Just getting back together and working out and trying to get in shape for this upcoming season. It feels real good.
Good. Now, how was the off season for you? Were you chomping at the bit to get back at it?
Oh yeah. It was real interesting. Finding out that new coaches and stuff was kind of entertaining. It was good, and we were just all excited to get back and get working again with the new coaches, and everything's been going good so far. There's a lot of energy, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Now, throughout the off season, was there a frustrating time waiting to hear back if you're going to be back with the Bills with the restricted free agent clause that you had and you're tendered with the Bills?
I was just waiting around. I couldn't really control that. That was out of my control. So my thing was just to get healthy and stay in shape. So that's what I did, and I just let it. I played it by ear and just let it happen. So. Thank goodness, I actually am back with the Bills and another season hopefully and ready to go.
Nice. Dorin, I got a question for you. I'm a little bit of a jersey nerd. I'm all into all the different variations and the numbers that players choose and everything, so you got to forgive me for that. Now, I know the NFL has some kind of policy where if you've been in a certain number for a few years, you can change positions and still keep that number. For instance, I believe Devin Hester is still number 23 as a wide receiver for the Bears. So I saw, as the rest of Twitter saw this past offseason, you chose to go from 42 to 82. What was the rationale behind that? What was the thinking behind that?
Just more of a receiver number. I wore 42 my whole entire life, really, going up until 9th grade when I was little from all the way to then. So that's kind of why I picked it last year. And I was a tight end, so and now they moved me to receiver. So it was just more of a receiver number, and that's the only one that was open. That's the reason why behind it.
All right, and so about that, at this point now, at least in the blogosphere and Twitter sphere, the much publicized change from tight end to wide receiver. What brought that about? Did you go to the coaches and say, hey, I want new opportunities, or did they come to you and say, hey, we think you might be a better fit in this role, or, what was the thought behind that?
Yeah, first as I got back, Coach Marone, he called me up and said, he thinks that, I'd be a better fit as a receiver and I could use my speed and, with this new offense and everything. So, I was like, yeah, let's do it, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely down to do that. So, it's been going good so far, and, I've been learning a lot from Mike Hilliard, our new receiver coach, and Stevie Johnson and all those guys. So it's going good so far.
Now, talking about the coaching staff a little bit, As you know, you have a new coaching staff that came in this year. How are you liking the new change? How are you liking the up-tempo that Coach Marone is bringing to develop?
It's good. I love it a lot. From what we're doing right now with Coach Hackett and Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, he brings a lot of energy, and all the coaches bring a lot of energy. And I think that's what we were lacking here in the past. And it's just a lot of fun running the offense. I mean, it's going to be on fire. It's going to be fast. So we'll just see how it works. Coming up in OTAs, but as of right now, it looks great.
Now, there's a rumor out there that there could possibly be a incentive program that's laden with the workouts that have been going on. Is there any truth to that?
What is that again? An incentive?
Yeah, there's a rumor out there that there's some type of incentive program that's been going on throughout the workouts. Many of the players, such as Freddie and Eric Wood, have put it out there on Twitter that they're competing for the top spot as far as the competitions within the players go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of incentives. I mean, we're all very competitive guys, so every day they try to have competitions of, with different groups and stuff, and it just brings out the best in you. And there's a lot, riding on the line every day whenever we work out, which is it makes it fun, makes it competitive, and that's what we need. We need to compete, and every day we go out there and something on the line, and we just compete at it every day. So it's good, healthy competition.
All right, I'm gonna change it up real quick, and I'm gonna ask you, what do you think of the Penguins? What's going on with your team?
You know what? They showed a lot last night, and we needed that win last night. They came out there on fire, and they started playing hard again. But Vokun, in the gold, the goaltender now, we got Fleury, so hopefully good things. Next game, shut them out and move on.
Do you think they got a shot at winning it all?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have two of the best players in the world, so and then they have a lot of other guys that are just as good. So I mean, they definitely have a shot at winning it. All
right, and I gotta ask. I mean, it's probably kind of a duh, but is it nice having Pittsburgh so close to travel to back and forth from Buffalo? It's about what, like 3 hours or something?
Yeah, it's 3 hours. It's so convenient for me. I mean, I love it. That's one of the things that I love about being up here in Buffalo too. Is that my girlfriend, she still lives back in Pittsburgh, so I get to go back almost every weekend and see her and my family and everybody else, all my friends. So yeah, it's very convenient. I love it.
So with recent events that just happened, looks like you went on a little fishing excursion with Brad Smith and Chris Hogan. How'd that go?
Oh, it was awesome. We had a great time. We also competed at that too. We were seeing who caught the biggest fish and the most fish. And of course, Brad won. He's a natural at fishing. He's natural at everything. So he caught 16 smallmouth bass. So it was awesome though.
Now, did you just catch bass up there, or any other different fish?
Yeah, we just caught bass. I think that was just the area we were in where all the bass were. So we just caught bass that day.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun though.
All right, Dorin, I've been following you on Twitter for a minute, and you're a horror movie junkie, man. I see all kinds of stuff with Jason and Freddie and whatever else flavors out there. What's your favorite?
I fluctuate, honestly. I mean, I've been watching horror movies almost my whole life, and I love them. I'm a very big horror movie buff, like you said, but sometimes I go back and forth with the Nightmare on Elm Street series to the Friday the 13th to Halloween. It just depends on what mood I'm in that day. I fluctuate with those series. Nice.
And I got to ask you too. I'm one of the people that run the BillsMafia Twitter account. We're responsible for doing a lot of the wristband giveaways and all that stuff. Do you have a wristband at this point? Did we get you one?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. Well, I'll drop one in the mail today. I'll make sure that one gets sent over to One Bills Drive with your name on it.
Fine.
Get that out to you.
Nice. Awesome.
That's an oversight on my part. I apologize. You should have had that already.
That's all right.
Now, keeping with the whole Bills Mafia movement and everything, I see a lot of interaction with fans that you have on Twitter. Some of your fans like to put out little blurbs, rhyming things with your name, like Dorin be scoring or such thing as that. What do you think about all that stuff?
I think that's great. I mean, it gives me, a good laugh all the time and time to, interact with the fans and stuff. And I love that stuff. I think it's so funny and very creative and clever of some of the names that some people come up with. I mean, I'm going to have to get it going again one of these days. I mean, that was great that one day.
Can you remember what was your favorite of the day?
Man, I mean, there were so many. There was one that was real good. What was it? Oh, man, I can't remember. But, there were some really good ones. I'll admit, there were really good ones.
So where's your favorite place to eat up in Buffalo?
Favorite place to eat?
Yeah, favorite place to eat. What type of food?
You know what? I really love going to Ted's. I think they have the best burgers I've probably ever had.
Okay.
That's definitely my favorite. Yeah, Ted's that's the best.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have. Del, did you have anything else?
I just got one question, I guess, to follow up to that. So, as you're changing from wide receiver, are they making you? Are they changing your diet at all?
Yeah, I do. Yep, I'm gonna have to lose some weight, and changing my diet all up, and it's gonna lean out and trim up a little bit.
Yeah. So, did you get some burgers in before you really went into that whole new regimen?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely got a couple of things.
That's cool.
All right, Dorin. Well, we appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to having you on Bills Central Podcast in the near future, and we wish you the best of luck with the OTAs coming up shortly next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dorin.
Thank you. And that was Dorin Dickerson of the Buffalo Bills on the Bills Central Podcast. This is your host with the co-host, Chris Brown with co-host Del Reid signing off, and have a good day.
The following podcast is a part of the Pro Football Central Podcast Network. Check us out at ProFootballCentral.com.
Circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, guys, where else would you rather be?
It's your hometown team. We out with Ralph Wilson. Tailgating.
I'm cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. I'm cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. I'm cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Get my chill on, get my chill on. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. I'm cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. I'm cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Get my chill on, get my chill on.
Running out the tunnel, Ralph Wilson Stadium. Fitzpatrick, Fred Jackson, Chan Gailey them. You hear the herd, there's no saving them. For the sleepers, we bringing them rude awakenings. Trust me, it'll never be safe again. See the defense, you should be afraid of them. Yeah, you should be afraid of them, cause they like takeaways, ask Tom Brady them.
Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Get my chill on, get my chill on. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Cold, yeah, I give my up for no bill. Get my chill on, get my chill on.
It's all